7:30. I am calling the May 27th Town Council meeting to order. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Mr. Davidoff.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. Councilor Blanks.
Present.
Mayor Cantor.
Here.
Councilor Cortez is absent. Councilor Fay.
Here.
Councilor McGinnis.
Present.
Councilor Poland.
Here.
Councilor Walters.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Winograd.
Here.
Councilor Zdanowitz.
Here.
Thank you, Mr. Davidoff. We'll go to public forum. Any resident or taxpayer of the town, I'm going to just finish because in case there's anybody in the audience, that may address the council regarding any item on the agenda which is not otherwise subject to a public hearing. Are there any public comment? Okay, seeing none, we will go to 4A. Mr. Winograd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Without objection, I move that items 5A, 5B, 7J, 7K, and 10A be placed on the consent calendar.
Is there any objection? Seeing no objection, the items are placed on consent. Mr. Winograd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move adoption of the consent calendar.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we will go to 7A. Mr. Winograd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move to adopt a resolution approving a collective bargaining agreement with the Local 1142 Council for AFSCME, AFL-CIO, the Streets Bargaining Unit for the period July 1, 2024 through June 30th, 2029.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Mr. Ledwith. Oh,
Thank you,
Mr.
Madam Mayor.
Phillips,
Good
thank you.
evening, everyone. Yes, I've invited John Phillips, our Director of Public Works, and Josephine Agnello-Vili as our Director of Human Resources. And John and Joe led the negotiations for this particular negotiations with our streets union. And also we had Ken Weinstock, who was our outside counsel, assisting with these negotiations. And I just want to make a couple of opening comments before I turn things over to Joe and John. This streets union is a very important, as John will get into as well, very important part of our Public Works department. And they do a phenomenal job of keeping our streets clean, safe, operating efficiently. They work tremendously hard all year long to do so. Obviously, we notice a lot of that during the winter months when they're working many hours to make sure our streets are safe and clean. And certainly now, as we all tried to drive over here this evening and drove through many parts of different construction projects that are occurring throughout town. So we are just tremendously pleased with the work that they do and receive many comments from our residents for the work that our Public Works team does. So the Streets Union this contract is coming off a 3-year contract that was actually John and I had negotiated back during COVID. And at the time, we were unsure of what was in front of us from a economic standpoint, and so we ended up with a 3-year extension at that time that called for wages that ended up being a little bit lower than average settlements around the state. So they're coming off a 1% increase in the first year, a 1.5% increase in the second year, and a 2% in the third year. So the contract that you'll hear about this evening is more in line with settlements that we are seeing around the state and settlements that we have agreed to, including colleagues within the Public Works Department, and Joe will get into that. But within that context, there are some significant changes in healthcare changes within this contract with higher contributions that employees will make, but also a significant change in the retiree healthcare structure that will lower our future liabilities for retiree health care. The grounds division had agreed to that with their last contract, and now the streets have agreed to that with this contract as well. So with that said, I will, through you, Madam Mayor, turn things over to Josephine, who will walk us through some of those changes, and then certainly we'll turn to John for additional comments as well. Thank you.
This is on? Yeah, that's, okay. Thank you so much for having us here. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the whole impetus with the whole negotiation for this, this union. It was actually a lengthy negotiation process because there were many times that we were stalemated. They came in with very, very high wage requests. So the fact that we came in at 3 and we finally agreed to that, so it was probably a good 4 or 5, maybe even 6-month process where for just weeks we didn't hear from them because they just were not budging on the wages. But the 3% wage is typically what we've been seeing across the state in terms of wage increases, and we were able to keep it that, to, you know, contain it as much as we possibly can. So the total cost of the wage increase is about $329,498 for fiscal year ~25. And the total with the retro is $354,704. And the other thing that we've done is we were able to ask future hires to contribute more to their retirement, to the healthcare. So at ratification, we're at 20% of the fully insured rate, not to exceed 7.5, and each year, effective 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028, the cap moves in increments from 5.25, 5.75 to 6.25, 6.75. But after ratification, the contribution is significantly more. So that's really going to help us contain a lot of our costs, which is healthcare is increasing twofold. So we found that to be a really significant takeaway from that. And the cost impact for this proposal is about a 10.3 increase and for current employees, and an 8.3 increase for current employees who are effective 7/1, 7.7 for people in, for employees in 2026, 7.1 for people employees in 2027, and 6.7 for those in 2028. So you notice we're paying less and less and less each year. And for the new employees, the increase is 8%, and then 7.4%. With insurance and pension programs, we, for July 1, 2025, we're matching the employees regardless of data hire, not to exceed 2% of the wage, base wages. The cost of this impact was $56,564, which went from 1.5 to 2%. We felt that this was in line with what folks were looking for, and it was a give. Again, a very long process where there was a lot of times where we just stood still and did nothing because no one was budging. So we felt that this was our way of moving forward to show goodwill. But for those who, for new employees, those who retire with a normal retirement, they're going to pay 50% of their insurance rate for their medical, which is significant. And the employee will be responsible for full cost of any dependents. So this is a 50% reduction for the town for future retirees. There were also some additional changes to some of the uniforms. The total impact of that was about almost $36,000. And then we had an impact on a holiday, which is the addition of Juneteenth, which on an annual basis is between $8,000 and $9,000 a year. So, John, did I miss anything?
No, you did a good job. You touched on the high points.
I do just want to reiterate that this was a difficult contract because what we had done in previous years with grounds, streets was always made more than grounds, and we ended up bringing grounds up. But now streets is saying, wait, we don't like that, we want more. So that's where a lot of that stalemate happened. Honestly, I think this was a really fair contract.
Good evening to Town Manager John Phillips, Director of Public Works. It's my pleasure to be here tonight and present this contract for the AFSCME bargaining unit, which represents Three key divisions within Public Works. It's our Street Maintenance Division, our Traffic Safety Division, and our Fleet Maintenance Division. Comprises about 27 members. I need to say this note because I think it's an important note to have context to how hard this group works and contributes to the quality of life that West Hartford enjoys from their performance. 27 members is a quarter what they were 30 years ago. 1/4 of what they had in staffing levels in 1990. 1/4. The work has gotten stronger, more complicated, more high-tech, and we work in an unsafer environment today than we did back then in terms of traffic. We work in traffic with the speed of traffic. West Hartford knows all well what I'm talking about there. So it's a strong group. It's a loyal group to the work. They're professional. They come to work and they do their jobs. As Rick alluded to, their last contract, they came to the table and heard the town's needs to be careful. And so they came in with a good, fair extension of their contract that was careful. As Joe indicated, yes, this contract, they wanted to level some things off, discuss some things at a high level. As Joe told you all the benefits of the contract, which I think are very fair to both sides, to both the employees and the town. This contract is fair. I want to talk about what's not in this contract we're able to avoid in this negotiation process. We're able to stay away from retirement benefits, which from the employee standpoint are not that strong because this is a group of employees that have to work 35 years to reach full retirement. And if you come into the world of plowing snow and do the rigor work that they do in their mid-30s or maybe touching 40, they'll be well into their 70s if they're trying to achieve maximum benefits of the contract. We're able to stay away from operational increases in the sense of getting paid double time or increasing their time and a half compensations during emergency events or snow events, which is becoming a commonplace in the industry of public works. Whereas if it snows on a Monday, normal work day, they could be getting double time pay because it's just snowing out and they have to go do their job, which is important. They're out in harm's way. They're multitasking to the highest degree level and driving a very valuable and constructive or destructive truck if misused in any manner. So they operate it safely. So we're seeing that across the public works are getting paid, but they get paid straight time on that Monday snow time day. Their overtime starts after they work 8 hours. And then the double time pay contributions usually kick in due to the holidays and such. We're able to stay away from those kind of operational increases. Again, so we stayed away from retirement enhancements. We stayed away from operational enhancements. They're also looking to restructure their work classifications, what would have amounted to multi-digit percentage point increases in their jobs. They wanted to reclassify, rewrite their job descriptions to reflect probably the work they're doing now. But it's a responsibility issue versus volume issue. And I think we were able to negotiate that clearly, that we're here to talk about them and the work and the volume of work, but the responsibilities aren't changing. So we're able to stay away from those kinds of increases. But they saw the writing on the wall. There are some job classifications, and I'll speak of fleet specifically, we're underpaid our mechanics compared to the private sector. In the last 6 months, we lost 3 good mechanics to higher paying jobs. But we're able to stay sensible with this contract. There's a value to having a municipal government job because of the benefits you receive, the longevity you receive, and really almost the guarantee that you have a job if your performance is of standard. But when you're dealing with a trade that is well under participated in the outside sector, those wages go up. It's common sense, supply and demand. And we did lose 3 good mechanics. Halfway I can report, as of today, we're fully staffed. We have replaced those mechanics with new energy, new insight on their craft, and hopefully they'll see the benefits of having this contract as well as future contracts and fulfill the obligations of the town. So again, in conclusion, it's a good contract. Bunch of hardworking individuals that do the work for the town. Also increasing throughout the life of this current contract that just settled and we negotiated, their lives have changed as far as an added work, and I'll call this a responsibility because it is a responsibility that we haven't normally had. Where we've always participated in special events, we now see ourselves participating in the emergency management portion of these special events, where we're contributing to the safety plans. I think you see it through actions that we're doing, but I think if you travel or go to other town events, and I can speak of recently going to an American event and a New Britain event, Public Works is now setting up barricades with our vehicles, closing those areas hard so cars can't intrude on the public safety in attending these events. That's kind of new for us. We haven't been in that space before, but we're seeing it happening in real time, and every operational plan that comes out, there's an increased demand for public works staff to be there and staff those vehicles for the public safety. And so that's another added responsibility to this group that they accept willingly. What's that mean on a quality of life impact? Last week, which was Memorial Day weekend, was a great holiday, actually yesterday. From this past weekend to about the middle of July, we'll need public works to work 7 days a week to fulfill all of the obligations we have in special events. Now, not all 27 people work, it's all crews, but we're seeing is, like, yesterday we had as many as 15 people working, more than 50% of their staff will commit, take the overtime, certainly, and it's a voluntary kind of job, but they'll be loyal to the work, and they'll come to work every weekend, 7 days a week, from now until about the middle of July to fulfill the special events. And then we'll get a little rest, and then the fall starts, which start again another series of long, special events for consecutive weeks in a row. So it's a good group. This contract is fair to them and the work they provide at Town of West Hartford. And I appreciate the support for this contract.
Thank you very much. You can hit your mic to turn the light, because then it will lock out anybody else that might want to talk. Thank you very much. It's clear that this has been a journey, and so much. I appreciate all the input, because it really gives perspective. Anything else, Mr. Ledwith? No.
No, Madam Mayor, through you, we would be happy to, entertain any questions that the council had.
Okay, we'll open it up to questions, but this was covered in finance, so I'd like Mr. Winograd to start.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As note, we did get a chance to hear even a little bit longer presentation, not too much longer, but a little longer, in committee with all three contracts that we're voting on tonight. And it was, again, very good presentation. We appreciate all the detail. All the questions were answered, and I certainly commend your team on a good contract. So thank you very much for bringing this to us, and thank you to our wonderful staff. I hope, and I'm sure they do, appreciate the respect we have for them, but I think more importantly, John's passion when we speak about their work, and I'm sure they see that. So thank you very much for bringing this to us tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Winograd. Are there questions or comments for Ms. Fay?
Yes, thank you. Just a real quick question. That's very impressive what you said about you're at a quarter of the staff that you were before. So I have to assume that a lot of the work got outsourced, or because that's a big drop. If you could give a little clarity around that, I'd appreciate it.
Yes and no. When you're that large, you're obviously do a lot more work as far as big construction work, and certainly Town of West Hartford does not pave anymore. The companies like Tilcon and the others that we have under contract do it far better, far more efficient. We don't collect household trash anymore. We sub that out. Certainly the companies that we have under contract can perform that work more efficiently than Public Works could have. So those are probably certain pieces. On the other hand, we're doing more today than they were doing 30 years ago. There's a lot more to maintain. Brick and mortar type work that we're basically tasked with maintaining does not have the longevity that it had when our grandparents were installing it, if I can use a quick analogy, right? So the deterioration of materials is changed. Our transportation system, although we look at our roads, those of us who have lived a long time, I certainly have been working in this town for almost 30 years, though the transportation system seems to be the same, it has certainly changed as far as its demand and use and its impact, which is a wear and tear, and that's what we take care of the most, the wear and tear of our transportation system. Changes in things just very recently, the adoption of Vision Zero and the work bound that will still come with that will impact this team. Fleet maintenance, it has grown significantly in 30 years for the right reasons. Police, fire, mainly their apparatus and their equipment they need to do their jobs. The tools they need to do for their skills and their trades that they perform every day for the town have grown immensely. And again, I think we can all think back to a vehicle we may have had 30 plus years ago. spark plugs, wires, and carburetors are fairly simple to compare to what you have to fix today. And so that has changed immensely. So no, with an honest face and honest answer, the work has actually grown for this group, but we are 1/4. So that the analogy of doing more with less, it's no longer an analogy with this group. It is their day of life. It's their motto. It's what they do.
Thank you, Ms. Fay. That was a good question. Ms. Blanks.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And thank you for the presentation. Just a couple of questions I had was around the retiree and the retirement benefit, where the employee shall be responsible for the dependent's coverage. So is that 100% of their dependents' expenses that they would absorb, healthcare expenses?
I'm sorry, if we're talking about employees who are newly hired on or after ratification, the town is only going to pay 50% for the employee. After that, 100%, they have to subsidize for any dependents, be it spouse, dependent child.
Thank you. And then the second question I had was around the healthcare cost increase that you, I guess the town is observing, noticing, or what have you. Any idea on, I guess I'm looking at trends in terms of what are you seeing that are probably more consistent, if you will, than others? Is it chronic illnesses or more acute or
It's a combination of many things, but what I can tell you is that even in the state partnership plan, the costs keep going up. This year, it's going on 9.9% increase, so we have to do something to offset that. We'll have pockets of people that might have, like, a disabled family member or something, but in the end, it all kind of balances out. It's just the overall cost of healthcare is increasing twofold every year. So that's the reason why we wanted to try to contain it as much as we could.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Ms. Blanks. Also good questions. Mr. Zdanovitz.
Thank you, and thank you for the presentation. On Section 2, the article insurance and pension program, is there a dollar amount associated with that for those programs that you know of?
Which one are you referencing?
So the insurance and pension programs, 8.0, Section 1, the current employees hired prior to the ratification, the effective, the 20% contribution, caps 5, have you applied any dollar amounts to those things, and even the new?
So I didn't get the dollar amount. Sorry, I didn't get the dollar amount from when we had this, when we had the cost effect, but I could get that.
Okay.
I do have it. I just wanted to try to simplify it because there was a lot of numbers there.
Yeah.
But I
Yep, no,
certainly
get it.
can get that.
Yep, thank you. And then on the next page, for the holiday cost, is it 27 employees for that amount?
Yes,
So that's $303 a day per employee, or an average salary of like $80,000?
correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Zdanovitz. Also good questions. Anybody else? Questions, comments? Okay. Do you need to get that amount before you? Okay, all right. All right. I don't have any further questions. I just want to, again, follow up with a comment that I think this is a very balanced settlement in a difficult dynamic, with the expectations being high on one side. And, no negotiation, as we know, stands alone. You have to look at the past, and where you're going to, which is what you've set up, I think, with the healthcare retiree especially. That's so very, very good there. All right. With that, we can go to a roll call if no one has any more questions. All right. We're going to go to a roll call vote. Mr. Davidoff.
Counselor Blanks.
Yes.
Mayor Cantor.
Yes.
Counselor Fay.
Yes.
Counselor McGinnis.
Yes.
Counselor Poland.
Yes.
Counselor Walters.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Winograd.
Yes.
Counselor Zdanovitz.
Yes.
Passes 8-0.
Thank you. All right, and we go to B, Mr. Winograd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Move to adopt a resolution approving a collective bargaining agreement with the CSEA SEIU Local 2001 part-time custodians for the period July 1, 2025 through June 30th, 2029.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Mr. Ledwith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I will turn things over to Josephine, who can give a quick summary of the changes for our part-time custodians who have a very unique salary schedule that's tied to minimum wage. And then I think we had a couple of other minor changes to that contract. So through you, Madam Mayor, I'll turn things over to Joe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I got it right this time. So this is a group of employees that work part-time. They work no more than 20 hours a week. They're usually after hours, and so they're not considered a regular employee. They're quite different from the rest of our workforce. So most of this contract, there really wasn't a lot to negotiate because of the nature of their work. They wanted to establish a whole different wage scale, to create a wage scale, where in the past we've always had everything minimum wage plus a certain amount as a minimum, and then a minimum wage plus a certain amount as a maximum. We worked on that to try to maintain that because we thought it would be easier for us to manage. And as minimum wage goes up, certainly their wages will go up. But we felt that this was fair enough to do that. But they had a whole payment arrangement that we thought was going to cost the town much more money. And we just said that, the other part of it was, I feel that, the more we change things or make things administratively more burdensome, that costs us money too. So I'm kind of stood firm, as did our facilities director, that we really didn't want to change things. There wasn't a need for this. This isn't somebody that does this on a full-time basis. This is a part-time supplemental kind of a role. So there really was no impact not any substantial impact. It's only going to be based on the minimum wage plus $275 at the minimum and plus $650 at the maximum. A lot of these employees have been here for a while, so a lot of them are at the maximum. So that's good to know. It was negligible in terms of cost. Uniforms, I don't know why, but they were adamant on having two sweatshirts. And again, that was negligible. They wanted more in terms of uniforms. We felt that the sweatshirts, we finally said, okay. It was just something that they just wanted. And again, that was negligible. For longevity, we added a layer to that. We added the 5-year. The 10 to 25 years was already there. So the cost of that for the lifetime of the collective bargaining agreement is going to be a little under $3,500. And it's just something to kind of give a little something to those people who haven't been here very long. And then we added a meal allowance. For those who work more, up to 8 hours, we felt giving them $10 to eat. If it's something where, there was a flood or, there was an office that they got damaged for some reason and we needed their help, we would feed them. So that's really it. There really wasn't a lot to it. I will say that the group of employees were really nice. It was a little sticky with some of the folks on the other side of the table, but it wasn't the employees. They were really just quite pleasant. They did also want something where they wanted to distinguish between who was working where. So if someone was a custodian with the police department and they were cleaning jails, they felt that was, was harder. But then there was also an argument made that, go into our libraries, there's a lot that needs to be cleaned there because some of our citizens, leave food or what have you there. So we were able to kind of say, you guys are all doing pretty much the same kind of work, and it could be rough at times for everybody. So I did not ask Bob Palmer to be here because there really wasn't a lot in terms of significance, so I might be able to answer most of the questions, but.
No problem. Just a quick question on the length of time it took you. You had talked about AFSCME and the AFL-CIO, the streets bargaining unit being a long time. Was this a short period of time?
This was very short. This was within maybe 2 months total.
Yeah, okay.
The streets, we started last fall in November. And that's how long it took. So this was a very small contract, but we were able to maintain,
Great,
which was the bottom line. There's no health care, there's no pension
Right.
involved in this or anything.
right, right, pretty straightforward. All right. Any questions or comments from council? I lost my earring. Ms. Blanks? No, don't be sorry.
How many part-time custodians?
I think there's between 22 and 26.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Blanks. Any other questions, comments? Okay, I just want to say a job well done, and sounds like a very fair and contract for everyone. All right, we will go to roll call. Mr. Davidoff?
Counselor Blanks,
Yes.
Mayor Cantor,
Yes.
Counselor Fay,
Yes.
Counselor McGinnis,
Yes.
Counselor Poland,
Yes.
Counselor Walters,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Winograd,
Yes.
Counselor Zdanowitz.
Yes.
Adopted 8-0.
Thank you, Mr. Davidoff. Mr. Winograd, letter C, 7C.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move to adopt a resolution approving a collective bargaining agreement with CSEA, SEIU Local 2001, parking monitors for the period July 1, 2021 through June 30th, 2029.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Mr. Ledbetter?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And this particular contract did take a little bit longer. It does go retroactively to July 1st of 2021, so it goes back quite a few years and then forward a few more. And this parking operation falls under the Department of Public Works and John's leadership, and as we know, is a 24/7 operation, and our full-time staff with supplemental part-time staff do a phenomenal job of managing this operation year-round. And through you, I will turn things over to Josephine, who can give a summary of the financial changes, and then John certainly can supplement that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. This bargaining unit contains 3 employees, but there are 3 employees who do an awful lot with very little. And we had been, we were running behind. So as you could see, we have to go back retroactive from 2021. But one of the things we wanted to do is change the wage scale because of what they do. We thought that these positions would be positions where they would be transitory, where people would come into town employment and then want to move around. Well, that's not happened. Most of these folks has been in these positions for quite some time. But we wanted to make sure they had a livable wage for what they did. So with the help of some research, some compensation research that John was able to conduct, we came up with an approach that made it more of a livable wage, and that would be effective July 1, 2025. Before that, from 2021 to 2024, we gave the standard 2% increase, which is what we were doing at that time period for other employees. Then we adjusted to the new wage schedule, and then after that, from 2026 to 2028, it's a 3% each year to that. The total wage increase for this is about almost $84,000 for fiscal year 2025, and that includes the retroactive wages. John, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about the wages now?
If you want to finish your report.
All right, all right, because I think he has a lot of the history, and I just want to make sure that that's shared with all of you. So the insurance and retirement plans, we are again trying to do things very consistent from one to another. Sometimes it works in a negotiation process, sometimes it doesn't. In this one, they were able to say okay, and we kept everything again for those employees hired before 2025, 20% of the insured rate, starting at 4.75 of the cap. And then each year from 2025 to 2028, it increased 0.5%, starting at 5.25, going all the way to 6.75 incrementally each year. For those employees hired after January 1st, 2025, we increased that cap a little bit more each year. So again, trying to put that burden of the cost a little bit more toward the employee to try to offset some of those really high costs of healthcare that are coming into play. So the cost impact of this proposal is about an 11.8 increase for current employees that were hired before January 2025. For cost impact for current employees is, let's see, I'm sorry. The cost impact of this proposal is 10.5 increase in employee contributions for current employees effective 7/1/2025, a 9.5 increase for employee contributions effective in July 2026, 8.7 in July 2027, and an 8% in July 2028. So incrementally, we're kind of offsetting those increases more again toward the employees. And then for two-person family coverage, the cost impact of this proposal is a 35% increase. So in employee contributions for those hired after 1/1/2025. So the cost impact of this increase for new employees is 8.7 after January 2025. Effective 7/1/2025, it's 8%. 7/1/2026, it's 7.4, and then 6.9, moving on. That was a significant cost, again, trying to take that money and deter it and bring it back to the employees so they have a little more skin in the game to try to offset those increases in healthcare. We added one floating holiday. This was a little bit of an issue because they suggested, I think, 4 holidays, and we came back only with 1. And one of the holidays they wanted was Good Friday, and that's really when we need them the most, when we have a lot of action going on in the center of the town. But we were able to give them 1 to have a total of 3 floating holidays, and that they could pick and choose, but that we still need them for certain key days, like the day after Thanksgiving, Good Friday. When their commerce is open, we need them here. So we were able to make that case, thanks to John. We are allowing them to cash up to 5 unused vacation days. This cost is negligible. They get their days or they get the money. And it's something that they were really happy about. So it didn't cost us a whole heck of a lot of money. And then we changed the workers' compensation language. And that cost is negligible, but we're trying to offset so that people are out of work for only a certain period of time. And then after that, they have to try to come back to work, even if it's at a light duty. So it brings them back to work quicker than if they were completely out of work for a long period of time. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, you have more. Go ahead. Sorry.
Again, through the town manager, Rick Ledwith, John Phillips, Director of Public Works. Again, happy to be here before the council today on this contract. This contract for me is a little nostalgic. This is the very first contract I negotiated as a young manager. 17, almost 17 years ago today. But I did not change my mindset with this contract negotiation. When we entered the negotiation with this team, yes, there are only 3 people, 3 parking monitors who do their job diligently every day. And this type of job, you can picture yourself issuing parking tickets. It's not the best job out there. It's not something you probably look at and want as if something you want to do and apply for. But these employees did, and they're here, and they're part of the team, and they do a great job. This team of 3 create the culture of parking at West Hartford Center. Without them, that's a whole nother discussion of what the parking situation would be in West Hartford Center. But they really do create the culture that works. We turn over spaces 5 and 6 times a day on street. So if you're a store owner and you have on-street parking in front of your space, theoretically that space turns over 5 to 6 times a day. So that's 5 or 6 different customers each time sitting in front of your store. Right, so that's one of the direct benefits of having a solid parking management system backed up by parking monitors. They just don't give tickets. They're the ambassadors on the street. They help residents understand the system, understand how to be compliant. We want to avoid tickets. Tickets is not something we want to issue. We want compliance. We don't want tickets. They help people get to where they want to go. Don't understand the layout, the blueback square from the center, and they help move people around. They also administer the immense technology we have embedded in our parking system, which is here, and it's here to stay and will only continue to grow, and they adapt. They adapt regularly when we bring in new technology, new features of systems that make their job efficiently more easier, but they still have to learn the systems and understand and how it relates to the users of our parking system. So it's a good group of 3, and they do great work. So my mindset of the contract still needed to stay the same, even though my admiration for them, it was immense, and the work they do. and we needed to maintain a commerce contract. What I mean by my definition of commerce contract, it had to be straightforward. Pay and benefits, long-term benefits, and that's it. Not your typical government contract that you've seen come across your meetings. The one we just talked about was streets. So let's, Joe talked about what's in the contract, what I think is fair, and I hope you adopt it. Let's talk about what's not in this contract. We didn't negotiate longevity pay for this group. It was a non-starter for me. We didn't, as Joe was saying, we talked about holidays. They wanted all the holidays like any other government employee receives. Half of our holidays are very popular commerce restaurant holidays. We need them working more on those days than a Monday and a Tuesday. So we had to negotiate that. Obviously, we didn't make any changes to the retirement benefits. Those stay solid. They wanted uniforms. They wanted shoes. They wanted a normal contract. They wanted to be parity with their fellow bargaining unit members in SEIU of Public Works. It wouldn't work for this contract. This contract works under the enterprise fund of the parking fund, meaning revenues coming in off our parking fees supports the activities of the parking operation, supports their salaries. In my 22 years of managing the parking operation, we've received not one subsidy from the general fund to offset parking operations. And so it's important this contract stay in line with that for sustainability long-term. But then doing the study, looking at other parking operations, really comparable ones like the City of Hartford, City of New Haven, Stamford, down along that shoreline. I did not look at Middletown and New Britain. Their models are way different than ours and not a good comparable. But their wages were way under. As we sit today without a contract signed and then any benefits from this new contract moving forward, 2 employees are $23.81 an hour, and the lead is $26.15 for a 7-day-a-week operation that runs till midnight from Wednesday to Saturday night. 3 people manage and create that culture. Yes, with a small splash of part-timers, but they're the core. They're grossly underpaid. Connecticut livable wage is $26 an hour hourly. Some studies say 27. They're grossly underneath a livable wage, and yet all 3 of these have families and just need to be respected for the job they do, and their jobs are not easy. So we did a readjust of an automatic readjust, no percentage, just recalibrated their contract, so we moved them up to $25 an hour starting July 1, 2025 for the 2 monitors, and the lead person moves up to $31.72 from where they sit now at $26.15 on July 1st. And so that's that adjustment. And then they have gross wage increases for the 3 years out, moving forward from 2025. Again, I believe that is extremely fair for the work they provide and that adjustment. Again, it's a good contract. It's a commerce contract. It's straightforward. It's transactional in a lot of ways. You pay me, give me a benefit, I'll come to work and perform the best I can, and this group does that. So hopefully for the support of this council, I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips, and I really, really appreciate, again, all the thought and strategy going into this, and you're so right that these employees do create the ecosystem for us to have a self-sustaining parking system. I do know we're going to have to look at that and look at our fees, and that's going to be a consideration, and we take, and this might play into that a little bit so that we can make sure that that is sustainable. All right, I know that this was also discussed in committee, so I'll defer to Mr. Winograd first and then open it up for questions.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Nothing to add to that. Again, obviously, we talked about it in committee, and appreciate all your work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Winograd. Are there comments, questions for anybody on the council? Okay. I guess, I'm just looking one more time. No? Okay. All right, then we will go to roll call. Mr. Davidoff.
Counselor Blanks.
Yes.
Mayor Cantor.
Yes.
Counselor Fay.
Yes.
Counselor McGinnis.
Yes.
Counselor Poland.
Yes.
Counselor Walters.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Winograd.
Yes.
Counselor Zdanowitz.
Yes.
Adopted 8-0.
Thank you. So I just want to thank you for being here. Thank you for explaining. Thank you for working really diligently and you know, really in a very committed way to come up with the best outcome for to preserve and attract really good workers. And we demand a lot in West Hartford. So we know that, but also balanced with the financial, fiscal impact to the town. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. Great work. Great work. All right. We're going to keep moving on, but you don't have to stay. All right. Letter D, Mr. Winograd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Without objection, I move to refer to Town Plan and Zoning Commission for its required review, a resolution authorizing the execution of an easement in favor of the MDC to support the Fern Street Bridge Replacement Project. Is there any objection? No, no objection. Being no objection, the motion is adopted.
Very good. Now we move to E, Mr. Winograd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Without objection, I move to refer to Town Plan and Zoning for its required review, a resolution authorizing the execution of an easement in favor of the City of Hartford to support traffic signalization improvements on Farmington Avenue. Is there any objection? There being no objection, the motion is adopted.
Thank you. We go to letter F.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move to adopt a resolution appropriating municipal tax revenues from cannabis sales to support the Leisure Services Scholarship Fund.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Mr. Ledbetter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As the council knows, under Connecticut 2021 recreational cannabis law, a municipal sales tax of 3% is applied to recreational cannabis sales. In West Hartford, our ordinance caps the number of dispensaries at 3, and with the third dispensary, Fine Fettle, opening just a few weeks ago, our current cannabis balance of tax revenue is approximately $270,000. And the tax revenue is intended to benefit the local community and must be used for the following purposes: streetscape improvements, education or youth employment and training programs, mental health or addiction services, youth service bureaus, and municipal juvenile review boards or community civic engagement. The Leisure Services Department offers a wide range of services and programs consistent with the activities of youth services bureaus. So this resolution would appropriate $60,000 of the cannabis tax revenue to the Leisure Services Scholarship Fund. And the scholarship fund has a current balance of $5,817 with $30,000 in requests. So this $60,000 would provide scholarship opportunities for residents to attend summer camps, swim lessons, and special interest camps throughout the year, and would be utilized over the next 2 fiscal years. And through you, Madam Mayor, happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
Thank you, Mr. Ledwith. Appreciate it. I know this was discussed in Ms. Pullen's committee, and so I will start with you.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. As Town Manager Ledwith indicated, we can only use these cannabis funds for certain purposes, and I think this is an ideal purpose for these funds to help our the kids who live in town remain active over the summer, engaged in their community, utilizing our parks, our pools, the skating rink, throughout the entire year, actually. And these funds really go to the families who need it the most, who can't afford to send their kids to have these really dynamic experiences at our camps in the summer and throughout the year. And I would urge support for this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pullen. Any other comments or questions? I will just say I think this is a great use of these funds, and thank you all for bringing this to us to approve. I know there are a lot of families that are going to benefit. All right. With that, we will go to a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We will go to letter G, Mr. Winograd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move to adopt a resolution appropriating additional funds to school improvements to the Walcott Park restroom building.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Mr. Ledbetter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And the restroom, the new restroom at Wolcott opened up this past weekend, which is great. I know that project is something the council has kept an eye on over the last year. However, we did need an additional $5,000 of CDBG funds to connect the, provide a pathway from the parking lot to the new building. So this $5,000 would be used to pave short sidewalks to connect the building to the eastern parking lot, and would be appropriated from our CDBG fund. So again, through you, Madam Mayor, happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
Thank you, Mr. Ledwith. Any comments, Ms. Pullen?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. As Mr. Ledwith indicated, this did go through the Human and Community Services Committee, and this project would be supported by Community Development Block Grant Funds, which are federal funds that we have to use to support programs in certain areas in town. Wolcott Park does qualify, and I am excited that we have new restrooms there, and having a sidewalk to help people get to those restrooms is another good use of those funds. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pullen. Any other comments, questions? I will just give a little plug for CDBG. We actually, it was in questionable whether municipalities around the country were going to get community development block grant money. And we did just receive just shy of $1 million. It's based on population for, I think, for the next coming year, which is a relief. But I've been on some national mayor's calls. This is one grant that has been on the chopping block a number of times, but mayors across the country have stood up strong and firm that this is something that all communities benefit from, but we'll see what will happen in the future, but right now, it's holding steady. So we will go to voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Letter H, Mr. Winograd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move to adopt a resolution appropriating grant funds from the State of Connecticut Aging and Disability Services to implement a Steps to Safety Fall Prevention Program.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Mr. Ledwith.
Thank you. The State of Connecticut Aging and Disability Services Bureau of Aging maximizes opportunities for the independence and well-being of people with disabilities and older adults in Connecticut. The town of West Hartford applied for and was awarded a grant in the amount of $5,000 to implement a local Steps to Safety program. The Department of Social Services, in collaboration with Fire, Emergency Management, and the West Hartford Bloomfield Health District, intends to utilize the grant in the current fiscal year to help fund the Steps to Safety Fall Prevention Program for West Hartford residents. And back through you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Ledwith, and I will go to Ms. Pullen, but falling for seniors is the largest, I think, dynamic or incident that changes their lives for potentially ever. So, Ms. Pullen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And this resolution also came through the Human and Community Services Committee. I want to shout out to our Leisure and Social Services Department for seeking this grant. As you indicated, Madam Mayor, a fall does too often change the life of an older adult and their family as well. And so anything that we can do to help educate the older adults in town, as well as family members who can pass along that information, I think is quite worthwhile. And I'm grateful that we have the money from the state in order to make this happen.
Thank you, Ms. Pullen. Any other comments or questions? All right. With that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Letter I, Mr. Winograd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move to adopt a resolution appropriating additional funds from the Rockledge Golf Club Reserve Fund to renovate the Rockledge Golf Club driving range.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Mr. Ledwith.
Thank you. This resolution would approve the transfer of funds from the Rockledge Golf Course Reserve Fund to help defray the costs associated with the construction of the new driving range at Rockledge. As we know, this project will significantly enhance the golfing experience, incorporating TrackMan technology, which is a cutting-edge tool that offers players real-time feedback and performance data. And by adding the covered tee structure to the driving range as well, would allow for year-round use and the potential for increased revenue to the Rockledge Fund. As you know, we did encounter delays due to unforeseen soil issues. Those challenges have been identified and addressed, and I'm happy to report that the Rockledge driving range is now an active construction site. So our team is moving forward as quickly as possible to finish this project. Our golfing community has been incredibly patient throughout this process, and this investment will not only improve their experience, but also strengthen the long-term sustainability of the course itself. In terms of the operation of the reserve fund, the town of West Hartford collects $2 of every cart rental and $1.50 of every 18-hole golf round, and then 75 cents for every 9-hole golf round, and deposits those funds into the Rockledge Capital Reserve Fund, which is to be used for course improvements and capital equipment purchases. Each year, these deposits amount to approximately $75,000 to $80,000. So we presently have a unallocated fund balance of $271,318. We'll reduce that by $250,000, leaving a balance of $21,000, but it would expect another $75,000 to $80,000 to be increased into that account this year as well as next year. So through you, Madam Mayor, happy to answer any questions that the council may have on this resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Ledwith. Hopefully, we'll have a little less rain so we can, but appreciate that. I'm going to go back to Ms. Pullen again because this was discussed in your committee.
Yes, thank you again, Madam Mayor. We did talk about this in the Human and Community Services Committee, and I know we are all extremely anxious to see this driving range completed, and many of us around the table were at the tour that we took. It was almost exactly 2 years ago. It was, I believe, July of 2023, when we went and toured a nearby driving range that was aspirational for us at the time, and we are almost there. I'm feeling pretty confident that we're going to have ours open this summer. This does essentially drain the reserve fund, but we, as Mr. Ledwith indicated, we do get deposits into this fund of, $75,000 to $80,000 a year. So I don't expect anybody is concerned about that, particularly because once this range is open, we should expect even higher deposits into that fund. This is really going to benefit our community and also bring people into town to experience all that West Hartford has to offer. And I encourage you to support it.
Thank you, Ms. Pullen. Any comments, questions? I know I get a lot of questions on the timing on this, so I will be very glad when this is up and running. All right. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, we are done with business items, and we'll go to the reports from town manager, Mr. Ledwith.
Thank you. I'll begin the town manager's report with a summary of upcoming council and committee meeting for the next couple of weeks. So we do have a Finance and Administration Committee meeting on Monday, June 4th at 6 p.m. That will be virtual, followed by a Public Safety Committee meeting on Wednesday, June 4th at 8 a.m., and that's virtual as well, and a Public Works, Facilities, and Sustainability Committee meeting scheduled for Thursday, June 5th at 6 p.m. I know we're also juggling a couple of other potential meetings next week, so if any of these need to change, we'll certainly notify everyone. I do want to take a moment just to express my gratitude and appreciation to, starting with Renee McHugh, for her organization of the very, very successful Memorial Day Parade, as followed by the Memorial Day ceremony. It was a top 10 day, beautiful weather, and we had great community participation with endless number of folks marching in the parade, and really, really appreciate Renee's work every single year to manage, organize, and run this event, and certainly want to extend my appreciation to our police department, fire department, and public works department as well for their work in keeping things safe and operating very efficiently. So now we turn our attention to our next signature event, and that's Celebrate West Hartford, which will be held on Saturday, June 7th and Sunday, June 8th. Set up in Town Hall parking lot will begin on Monday, June 2nd through Friday, June 6th. Parking will be limited, so we encourage residents to conduct as much business as possible through our website or over the phone. June is Dog License Month in the Town Clerk's office, not just here in West Hartford, but throughout the state. And our Town Clerk's office will be mailing reminders to over 3,000 dog owners. The annual cost for dog licenses is $19 for unaltered animals and $8 for neutered or spayed animals. According to state law, all dogs over 6 months must be registered and receive a dog tag annually. The numbered dog tag identifies any pet that may wander away from home. For more information, please call 860-561-7430 or email licensemydog@westhartfordct.gov. And on Sunday, May 18th, the West Hartford Community Emergency Response Team, CERT, graduated 35 more residents from its most recent basic training program. The class contains CERT members from West Hartford, Hartford, East Hartford, Manchester. We were assisted by Manchester CERT team and the Disaster Behavioral Health Response Network, who provided trainers for 2 of the sessions, and the West Hartford Fire Department. Since its inception in spring of 2021, the West Hartford CERT program has trained over 330 residents and contributed more than 10,000 hours of volunteer service to the community. So kudos to our CERT team led by Bob McHugh. And that summarizes the town manager's report this evening, Madam Mayor. Happy to answer any questions that the council may have on these items or any others.
Thank you, Mr. Ledwith. Are there questions for the town manager? Okay, I don't see any. No, there is a lot of road construction. Just an update on Vision Zero, maybe on where some of those quick builds stand.
So we are, we've ordered the delineators. The first section of the quick builds would take place on Cedric Road at Westminster. So I don't have a definitive date on the start of that, so it'll all be dependent on when those delineators get here. But as soon as they do, our Public Works team will be out in full force to start that project. So I'll try to get a more firm date from our team over the next day or so.
Thank you. And I maybe just, where we are, what's coming, I think that a lot of people want to know. And also, I think people are going to see some of these things for the first time. They're not used to them. And so maybe explaining what they're doing and, how they help.
Yep, so we have, we do, on our website, we do have our quick build supplement that's available for folks to view. But as we are working on quick builds, our John Phillips's team has, Renee McHugh and others have designed signage for where these projects will be. So we have 2 sets of signs that John's team has since finalized, and we'll have a sign identified at projects, in spots where projects are coming. And then once they become permanent, we'll have a permanent sign that will be driven into the ground like any street sign that will identify that as a Vision Zero project. And then it will have a QR code on the sign that folks can hit the QR code and learn about, okay, what does this project do? And how will this, enhance the safety in our town? We have hired an intern through our Public Relations Office who is starting, I believe, next week. And they will assist us with starting more education and outreach to our community on all of that's happening around Vision Zero. So excited to have that person on board assisting Renee as well. So.
Thank you, Mr. Ledwith. Anything else further? Okay, thank you very much. We will go to Corporation Counsel.
Madam Mayor, I
Attorney
have no
Verano.
official report tonight, but the Office of Corporation Counsel is requesting that the council suspend the rules to add an executive session for the purpose of discussing strategy and negotiations with respect to pending litigation. Vivian Johnson versus the Board of Education, docket number CV 22-615-4834S.
Thank you. Attorney Verano, can we do announcements first and then?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm going to do that, and then we're going to go to Mr. Winograd for the suspense item. Okay, because there is a really big, I think most of you have heard about it. I want to echo Mr. Ledwith's thanks. The Memorial Day parade and then the meaningful ceremony that happens means an enormous amount to a lot of people in our community, and thank you all of those who could attend. It really is something. It's just so impressive. My brother happened to be here. I grew up in town, but has not lived in town for a long time, and brought my mom, and he just was really watching the whole parade was so like it just a little bit stopped in time of all that the incredible families and how people participate, and it just was really moving to him. And then when I got home, I got a call from a neighbor who said that I was just there with I was there with my boys, and now I'm there with my grandsons, and how he said it feels a little bit like a Norman Rockwell, a little bit. So it was really again a beautiful, beautiful day. And one of the things I think that makes us stand out, and as you just heard from John Phillips, our Public Works, our streets, obviously our police and fire, Renee and Rick also make all of this happen. We have so much happening all around town, but we think we're really wonderful, and we're not perfect. When we keep working to do better and be better. But West Hartford received a very substantial accolade. West Hartford ranks #1 in Connecticut and #19 in America at the U.S. News and World Report, posted their rankings for best places to live. And we were the only town, and then I saw something else that there were some Boston towns, so I'm not 100% sure of this, but on one submission, it said that, because it's been picked up and repeated by several news outlets, that we were the only, bless you, that we were the only Northeast municipality in the Northeast, including New York and New Jersey, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But nevertheless, we were the only one in Connecticut in the top 250, and really a standout recognition. The rankings are based on an analysis of public data and user options. Somebody did ask me if I had a friend in the rankings, and no, I don't. So, to top the list, a place must earn high scores in criteria such as desirability and quality of life. For the 2025-2026 Best Places to Live rankings, 859 cities were selected, up from 150 cities in 2024 and 2025, so even more competition. The top 250 are featured in its national top 250 best places to live rankings. All 859 cities are ranked within their specific state rankings. Stamford was 440 and Norwalk was 445, and they were the only other Connecticut cities that were cited. So I just want to say, congratulations to our town manager, our deputy corp counsel, all of you sitting at the table, our Board of Education that contributed in so many ways. But a lot of this goes to our public and challenging us and making us better every day by the enormous amount of volunteers, the CERT people that were marching with us. All those pieces make us what we are. So thank you so much to everybody. It's really a big deal. Okay, this is also amazing. The Chamber of Commerce does their 2025 awards, and this will take place on June 24th at the Farmington Polo Club from 5:30 to 8:30. Unfortunately, it is a town council night, and we have a public hearing, and I'm brokenhearted that we can't be there because it's out in Farmington. So, and every single person on this list is so deserving. If I could have picked them, I would have selected a lot of these. So I'm going to read the Spotlight Award winners. And I missed the actual award presentation. I came at the very end because I had a couple of other things to do. But really amazing. New business. And I will say my daughter-in-law swears by this business. This is Heather Moran of the Book Club. This is a sort of young moms, new moms bonding area. They do all different kinds of creative things, and it is a gathering place of sort of a newer community, either newer to West Hartford or newer to this very important transition in life of being a mother. And it's really a remarkable new business, very popular. Entrepreneur is La June King of BLKSTRY Studio, and I think Black Story, and photos by LJK. And if you haven't met her, you should, because she will change your life. Nonprofit, Jewish Family Services, meeting increasing needs at every turn. Economic driver, West Farms Legacy Business, Luna Pizza. Young professional, Ryan Young of People's Bank. If you haven't met Ryan, he will make you smile. Chamber volunteer, Patrice Taff of Westfield Bank, also amazing. Chamber partnership, Lauren Siegel of the town of West Hartford, and Lauren's made an enormous difference in connecting with our businesses and helping to support economic development. And the 2025 Beacon Award recipients, Elizabeth Gustin Basil Women's Leadership Award is Mary Jane Foster of Intervale House, and you all have heard from Mary Jane and the work that she does in domestic violence and preventing domestic violence, and it is substantial and enormous, and we're so proud of her. And then Noah Webster Award goes to John Green, Luxbond and Green, who has lifted our town up in so many ways and been such a strong advocate for West Hartford, and has volunteered not just as treasurer, but also so much of his time to make West Hartford better. So if you need or want any more information, you can go to the Chamber's website. And I just want to thank the members of the Chamber and the selection committee for all of that. Calls for Walls, nominate a site for our mural. This is the West Hartford Public Schools Deaf Services team is embarking on this exciting mission. They are planning a vibrant mural that celebrates our deaf and hard of hearing community and are looking for the perfect building to bring this vision to life. Property owners and community members are invited to suggest potential locations. The ideal spot would be 3 to 4 story building with solid windowless walls, ideally located with its prominently seen from the street. This is a fantastic opportunity for property owners to turn one wall of their building into a stunning artwork that will inspire all who see it. And there is a link on our website. Volunteers are needed to remove flags from veterans' graves on May 31st. This is sponsored by American Legion, Post 96. Rain or shine, collection begins at 8:30 a.m. and should take about an hour. Meet at the Chapel Bay Garage Bay. The flags will be stored and then used again on Veterans Day. I think they meant, oh no, that's right. Okay, and many hands make light work. Caribbean American Heritage Kickoff, May 31st. I'm going to turn it over to Carol in a minute for that, but join the West Hartford Caribbean American Heritage Committee to kick off Caribbean American Heritage Month with a performance by the Caribbean American Dance Company. They're amazing, followed by a screening of the award-winning documentary Diggers that was released in 1985. It tells the story of the Panama Canal, an engineering feat that has been hailed as the 8th wonder of the world. It took 33 years to build, 1881 to 1914, and the loss of 30,000 lives. Diggers chronicles the political, social, and technological history of the Panama Canal and the forgotten 100,000 black laborers from the Caribbean who built it. Archival footage stills are enhanced by interviews with surviving workers who describe their struggles against dangerous working conditions, unfair labor practices, racist policies, and a denial of their contributions by the United States and Panama. Movie time is 1 hour and 30 minutes. And I didn't know, Carol, if you wanted to add anything about.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, because as I'm looking at this, the time is incorrect. It has here the event takes place at 6:30 p.m. This takes place actually at 10:30 a.m. This is Saturday, May 31st, which is held in the library on the lower level in the meeting room. Okay, so all who are listening, please make note of that time. And you can register by going to the library, or I believe if you go to the town website, maybe there as well. Okay. It's going to be great, so I hope to see everyone there.
Thank you, Ms. Blanks. It sounds so interesting. Unfortunately, I'm traveling that weekend, but I'm hoping that maybe there will be a way for us to get a link for the video. Okay. Everyone is invited to the first annual Eid celebration, Eid, Eid, thank you, on Saturday, May 31st, from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Blueback Square on Isham Road. The rain date is Sunday, June 1st. This is a free event, and it is a beautiful opportunity to come together as a community and celebrate a cherished tradition rooted in unity, gratitude, and joy. The event features a festive, family-friendly atmosphere filled with lights, music, and the aroma of international cuisine, shopping, crafts, and activities for children, and more. Whether you are part of the Muslim community or simply curious, open to learning, this event welcomes everyone. So enjoy this festival. It sounds awesome. And Pride flag raising will take place Monday, June 2nd. This will take place at Unity Green, and I will go to Barry in a minute also. Because we have active members serving on these committees, and so it will take place June 2nd at 5 p.m. This event kicks off a month-long special event calendar culminating with Pride Festival on Saturday, June 21st. Attorney General William Tong, along with local officials and members of West Hartford Pride, will be in attendance. Everyone is welcome, and there is a link on the website. And then just quickly running through, West Hartford Pride kickoff, or do you want to do that, Barry? Do you have that all that information? I'm not sure at your fingertips.
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes, I have it actually right in front of me.
Great. Go
I
ahead.
anticipated being called upon. So as you mentioned, the flag raising will take place on Monday the 2nd at 5 p.m., followed by the West Hartford Pride Kickoff Party, which will be taking place this year on Thursday, June 5th at 6:30 at New Park Brewing. We do have a change of venue from years past, and we thank them for hosting. On Thursday, June 12th at 6 p.m. will be Tracy's Pride Ride. We in the past have had a Pride Ride, and this year, we wanted to honor Dr. Tracy, and after discussion, we came up with this being something that we felt was really appropriate. And so it was Tracy's Pride Ride again on Thursday, the 12th at 6, and that will be at BCCO on New Park Avenue. Then on the 21st will be our little Pride Rally on the steps of Town Hall. That begins at 10:30, and that will be followed at noon by the festival in the parking area, and it promises to be every bit as big as it has been in previous years. And last but not least, and also not necessarily the only thing we have coming, last year we at West Hartford Pride did something a little different with the faith community, and we decided to repeat that again this year given how popular it was. And so it's all our welcome inclusion of the queer community in religious spaces. And there'll be a number of different clergy and laymen that will be attending as part of our panel and discussing how queer life and faith intersect or don't intersect at times. And that'll be at Congregation Beth Israel. And stay tuned for other events.
Thank you, Mr. Walters. You know that is also a council night, the same council night that we have. Yeah, okay. All right, so unfortunately, but yeah, lots going on. And as you know, again, we heard from John Phillips, there's stuff happening all the way through middle of July. So just quickly, 2 more items for me. Special Olympic torch run with law enforcement will take place on June 5th, 4:40 to 5:15. Annually, this 3-day torch run takes place every June leading up to Special Olympics Summer Games. Known honorably as Guardians of the Flame, law enforcement members and Special Olympic athletes carry the flame of hope into the opening ceremony of local competitions, and it is a large fundraiser for Special Olympics. I've heard that Mr. Ledwith is running. Are you running?
I was planning to, but we have a lot going on that night.
Yeah,
as
I
well.
don't- I
So I was
think-
like,
I
I'm
don't
not
know
sure I
if-
can.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know either. But I have been to this. Event, and it is very. It's really a great event. And then Celebrate West Hartford, as you heard before, will take place noon to 6 on. Actually, 10 to 6 on Saturday, noon to 6 on Sunday, and features arts and crafts and vendors, and it's just the best. And so, and a fun run also in the morning. So, anybody else have any? Yes, Ms. Bowen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can we just get a clarification on when the flag raising is for Pride Month? Because we did get an email today that it was moved from Monday to Thursday the 5th, and now I'm just not really quite sure. Thank you.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. As Manager Ledwith indicated, there's a lot going on that night, number of other events, and we decided to move it to the 2nd at 5 p.m. So that is what we're going with, and we're not changing it.
Okay. Yes, but the kickoff.
It was, sorry. So it was moved from the 5th to the 2nd, not moved from the 2nd to the 5th? Because
No.
we have an email saying it was moved from the 2nd to the 5th.
Yes, it was the 2nd once upon a time, somewhere in a land far away, and then it was,
The 5th, and now it's the 2nd.
yes,
Got it.
yes.
Okay,
You're not
thank
wrong,
you.
but you're not, yes.
100% correct. Thank
All
you.
right, so Monday, June 2nd, 5 p.m. flag raising, and the kickoff will June 5th at 6:30 at New Park Brewing. Okay. That's all I had. I know if Mr. Cortez was here, he would remind people that we are headed towards the end of the school year, and food, our own food pantry in West Hartford, as well as Pumpkin Church, Methodist Church on New Britain Avenue, collects food items for distribution and is really, really important. So, anything else? All right, so we have one more thing we have to do. Mr. Winograd, suspense item.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Without objection, I move that we suspend the rules for the purpose of opening the agenda to add an executive session to discuss strategy and negotiations with respect to pending litigation, specifically Vivian Johnson versus Board of Education, docket number HHD CV 226154834S.
Is there any objection? There being no objection, the item's added to agenda. Mr. Winograd?
Without objection, I move that we enter into executive session to discuss strategy and negotiations with respect to pending litigation, Vivian Johnson versus Board of Education, docket number HHD CV 226154834S.
Is there any objection? There being no objection, we will enter executive session. I invite Deputy Corporation Counsel Verano, Town Manager Ledwith, and Attorney Jonathan Serling.
Just, Madam Mayor, one more thing, just for the benefit of those who are watching and for those in chambers, I do anticipate that we will come out of executive session and potentially take action on a proposed resolution.
Thank you, Attorney Verano. Okay, thank you. We just are coming back from executive session, so I'm going to turn to Attorney Verano to summarize the motion.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and councilors. Before you is a resolution authorizing the Corporation Counsel's Office to settle a discrimination case filed against the Board of Education and pending in the Superior Court, namely Vivian Johnson versus the Board of Education, in the amount of $150,000. This matter involves allegations of race and age discrimination against employees of the West Hartford School District by a paraprofessional at Hall High School. Out of respect for the settlement process, I won't discuss further details, but this settlement is in no way an admission of liability or fault by the West Hartford School District or the Board of Ed. For the reasons articulated to the Town Council in executive session, I urge adoption.
Thank you, Attorney Verano. Mr. Winograd?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move to adopt the resolution authorizing the Corporation Council to settle pending litigation, Vivian Johnson versus West Hartford Board of Education.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. With that, thank you, Attorney Verano, and thank you to our counsel. And without objection, I make a motion to adjourn. Is there any objection? All right, seeing no objection, we are now adjourned. Thank you.